Good afternoon. I am preparing myself to do a study for you guys in order to understand the climate of the American culture, not only probably the worldwide culture, especially when it has to deal with men. Now, as you know, the American dream is pretty much dead at this moment, and a lot of people who believe that the same ways of working, of how it played out in probably the 40s and 50s and the 60s, which is a common talking point about certain people, especially in red pill spaces, that the same thing doesn't apply today. We do have an understanding that a lot of men are coming out of different things like the workforce or coming out of the college or not wanting to go to college or take up trades and all these different things in order to make a stable income. Also, with the fact that when it comes to women, more of the women being in the workforce and being able to earn a higher wage than men. With that being said, this Brownstone Powwow solo is just a brief, just conversation for me to have with the national public about certain things that I started studying and I started looking at, such as the topic of conversation like, what is the reason behind why men are getting out the workforce? What is the reason why men are opting out on a lot of different things, even to a social climate where men are tired of dealing with women because of certain things? Now, the whole entire point is I'm not trying to make this primarily about relationships. I'm not trying to primarily make this about a whole entire thing where we have to focus on men to women or women to men. Especially with the controversy that happened last week of the beloved woman by the name of Ebony K. Williams and her comment about bus drivers, which that intertwines with the mindset of a lot of people's mindset, especially today's generation, whether you're talking millennials all the way down to Gen Z, because there is this whole entire thing that I start to see, especially online, where men of the older generation, usually boomers, have this concept where they believe that people should still fall in love and get married. Yet today's climate is popularized by doing things or getting involved in relationships that aren't relationships. They're more like situationships brought upon by lust by both parties, usually configuring the idea that two people would probably come into a relationship based off of lust. That isn't always the answer. But more or less, going to men specifically, where do men have a marking in society, especially beloved so-called black man? Where does he find himself? Especially he's been the center of public enemy number one, brought upon by fellow so-called black women who don't see him as a valuable candidate in his society and more or less see him as useless and just someone who shouldn't be worthy of any type of attention or, care. And upon these studies, I'm going to be looking at different articles and showing it to you guys, in which I'll be making a larger assessment about things that I believe is probably the catalyst to why a lot of men are not getting involved in the workforce per se, or these different things. One theory that I had to mind that I'm putting as a thesis is because when it comes to the workforce of today, you're getting paid to do more work for less pay. So the wages are different. The wages is lower than it's ever been, probably in a different period. And especially now when it comes to certain states, they're paying you low wages on certain jobs that would be remedial anyway. For example, the minimum wage in New York is $15 an hour. A lot of these jobs that I've been seeing around pay $18 to $20, which still doesn't equate to helping the average New Yorker survive in a place like New York City. In order to make a stable income in New York City, you have to have a job that's paying probably $25 to $30 an hour, if so. And if it's not doing that, you're taking two minimum wages jobs in order to make ends meet, which requires you to work probably more or less 10 hours, probably more than that, probably asking you to work to 15 hours a day out of 24, in which less sleep means less productivity for yourself and being able to do what you got to do. But of course, hustles and ambitions. But I'm not just using New York as a main state. It's much more people who will take upon working 2 to 3 jobs in order to make ends meet as a way to get money. But again, my reason for making this Brownstone Powwow solo is to extend the conversation of why men are quitting and why men are tired in this society and why men don't feel a need to embark themselves on certain things, and why they feel like it'd be in their best interest to go for their pursuit of happiness, which probably is trying to find, I don't know, probably not working and probably trying to do services that don't require a W-2, W-4, whatever have you, probably do independent work and all those different things, in which some of these jobs or most of these jobs will be taken over by AI forces in the future if they are not already. And that probably on a mental aspect, men are tired of being vilified for any job that they do. That the common man does not earn six figures, or he's not a quote unquote high value man. And so, with that being said, he's losing hope in the dating world, the job world, and just this overwhelming happiness, which basically concludes him becoming depressed or having contemplating thoughts of deleting himself, which is actually true according to a lot of studies, that men are the lead in self-deletion attempts. So otherwise than that, that's just my thought process. I just wanted to put it out there for people paying attention. Give me your thoughts in the comment section. It really would be a great conversation to have. Otherwise than that, like, share, subscribe. Peace.